Is it true that women prefer bad boys? I mean, if you go online and you search for it on YouTube, you will find a dozen red pill content creators talking about that and saying that we definitely prefer bad boys. And they basically tell you that if you are a kind man, if you are a gentleman, you are destined to a life in ruin because you're never going to get laid and you're doomed to a life of complete loneliness. But of course, all of this information tend to be very biased and basically based on their own beliefs and zero scientific studies on the topic. So I think I don't have to tell you that this is not enough for me, so I decided to actually put on the work and go online and do some research on the topic and bring you the most absolute facts that I could find to talk about the relation between men's aggressive behavior and the way women feel attracted to men. So if you're interested in this topic, please make sure to like this video and to subscribe, because this is actually the English version of this video. I've done the exact same video before, but in Portuguese language, which is my mother tongue. But I intend to bring more depending on how this video goes. So now let's go to the facts. I mean, we have to be realistic and say that there are actual signals that this belief might be true. I mean, we could mention some different kinds of examples, like for example, the way that women tend to stay with their partners even after they go to prison, or the fact that when male serial killers go to prison, they tend to receive letters from dozens of women. And also, I would like to mention the recent phenomenon of dark romance on literature, because this is actually a very good picture of how women are feeling at the moment. So what is dark romance, in case you are unfamiliar with this category of literature? I am a writer, so I know a few bits about that. If I could sum up what are dark romance novels, I would say that they are novels that are focused on taboo relationships. So they focus on relationships where like a huge age gap, or maybe the guy is like a criminal, or maybe the guy is like super controlling and super jealous and acts in a very unstable way, very possessive. We're talking about kidnapping, we're talking about unsafe sexual practices, and they're all explored in these books, along with heavy erotic content. And those books are extremely popular. I can't even start to tell you about it. So how we could say that women don't like bad boys when at the same time women are just like eating up those kinds of books where basically they explore all kinds of relationships that women should not want? Well, there is a reason behind it, and I'm going to talk about it at the end of the video. But let's put a pin in that for now, okay? And talk about the actual study on the relation between aggressiveness and women's attraction to men. I'm going to link below this study I have used to make this video. So they have tested 1,212 women, and what they did was they presented these women a profile of a potential mate. And on these profiles, they would show men who have presented some kind of aggressiveness and men who don't show signs of aggressiveness. So basically, the male profiles with aggressiveness would be of men that have been recently in the war, soldiers that were facing post-traumatic syndrome, and for this reason they would be presenting some kind of violent behaviors or a certain kind of appetite for aggressiveness. And the other profiles were for men with decent behaviors that simply don't show any signs of aggressiveness. So they would ask these women if they would want to be with this man on a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, or if they want to be in a relationship with these men at all. And the results were that women that picked the mates with signs of aggressiveness chose these men for short-term relationships. And between those women, a larger amount of them would be in their fertile period. So basically, they would be ovulating. So what can we conclude from this study? If women chose these men only for short-term relationships, and the higher rate between these women were from women in their fertile period, they were ovulating, it's because they were looking for men to have sex with. So basically, they were looking for a partner to fulfill those sexual desires and not to be in a relationship with. For long-term relationships, they would typically choose the man that would not show signs of aggressiveness. So this tells us that the women's preference to bad boys are related to our reproductive preference and not rational preference. It's based on sexual attraction and not emotional reasons. And why do we look at men that are larger than us, have a deeper voice, show signs of aggressiveness as better sexual mates? Well, aggressiveness can be an unconscious signal for women that they have a better physical fitness. For that reason, they would be better performing sexual acts. The preference for dominant men who are larger than us, deeper voiced men, because between mammals and especially monkeys, usually the male is larger than the female, and usually the sexual acts they perform tend to be more dominant, where the male is dominating the female, and unconsciously we tend to look to dominant men as better sexual partners. But it's just for a short-term period. So the fact that a woman feels attracted to you because you show those behaviors or those traits doesn't mean that she's actually wanting a long-term relationship with you. Because for a long-term relationship, we would prefer mates who are kind, sympathetic, empathic, have better social skills, emotional maturity, and all of the other qualities that usually make a good human being. So basically, women would look for a bad boy on the sheets and a good boy in their heart. So here I'm creating a theory about why dark romance are so appealing to women right now, and that's because they are the satisfaction of a fetish. This is a place where they can satisfy their sexual desires to be with a dominant male without risking their physical integrity. And they are looking for this experience in a safe space where these men are not actually going to do something bad against them. So basically, it's just a fulfill of a fantasy. It's not something that we would like in real life. I would also like to add a TikTok video that I have seen related to this topic, where the comment section would be full of women just saying, yes, I want this man just on books, but in real life I would never choose a partner like that. If these men from the books would come to real life, I would never date them. I would never go around them. So what is the reason why there are still plenty of women that, knowing that rationally these men are not good for relationships, they still prefer to be in a relationship with them? And that's a very easy answer, actually. That would go from women to women. I mean, some people are more rational and some people are more emotional. Some women are going to think that sexual attraction is way more important than emotional security, for example. And some women would just ignore sexual attraction, or would just not care that much about sexual attraction if the other needs are fulfilled. So that depends on how each woman would value those aspects, you know? If a woman is more worried about the feelings she will get from a man than the actual possibility of security and stability alongside a man, she's probably going to choose a guy that's a bad boy and probably is not going to be good for her. And I think, and here is just my opinion, that it might go the same way for men as well. I mean, they would look for a woman that's very good looking and maybe has the kind of behavior that's very confident, that's very sexual, you might say, and they would be very sexually attracted to her, but they would also feel very concerned about keeping her in the long term, because they would just look at her and think that it doesn't make sense that she would choose just this guy if she can have all of the guys. And for women, this thought process happens kind of very similarly. And I'm not saying that this is true. Just because a person is sexually attractive, they are probably going to cheat on you, but it's just how we human beings tend to think. And you know what? Thinking about it, this is actually very interesting. Maybe it's a myth that more attractive people tend to cheat more, because I don't know about any kind of studies that actually prove that belief. It's just about our insecurities. It's just maybe this feeling that a person that is very good looking has more tendency to cheat. It's just about our insecurities, and it's not about the reality at all. I'm going to look up if there is any studies about that. Is it true that more attractive people tend to cheat more, or maybe less attractive people cheat more because they feel like if they have a chance to cheat, it's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity and they have to do it right now, because otherwise they won't have a chance to be with that person anymore because they're not that good looking. So maybe it's just a myth and just an illusion. Oh my god, I just had a huge epiphany right now. Comment below if you thought my theory makes sense. And this is everything that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, click on the bell button, because otherwise you won't receive any new content from me. The YouTube won't send you my new videos notifications. So please click on the bell button and comment below, because I want to know what you guys think and what you want to see next here. Okay? Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.